um, a group, which I think I've shown you pictures of. I don't know if I haven't. So I said, I'm following the same group. So he says, I breathe the same way, I exercise the same way, and we meditate the same way. He is actually from Italy who moved to Brazil and now working in USA. And we hope, with our director sir's blessings, that we'll be signing MOUs, memorandum of understanding, with the naturopathy at Brazil, with AIIMS Bhopal and the Ayush department, and also collaborating with the neuroscience department Bhopal. I can go on saying PhD in neuroscience, masters in neuroscience, traditional Chinese medicine, postdoctoral fellowship. Sunil sir, Santosh sir, Rajesh sir, and since we're YouTube live, I think people can come slightly in front, and so that people at the back can just occupy the second and third rows also. Please put your hands together for Dr. Francisco Cidral. Okay. You want a hand mic? No, I'm fine. You want a mobile? Or you want to stay there? I can stay here. That's fine. Can you hear me as well? Yes. Can you hear him? Is that okay? No, it has to be closer. Volume for maybe. Is this better now? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, namaste and dhanyavad for having me here. It's a pleasure and an honor. I really feel very comfortable when I come to India. Not just because I love the food, which is very, very good, but the people are very nice, very receptive. And we have my family being Italian and Brazilian, we have a similar tradition. Like people are very friendly and very nice. So it makes me feel very, very happy to be here. And then I have a brother here in India, and I hope to come back. So I'm here today to talk to you about a little bit about brainwave entrainment. That's something that Dr. Varun is already working with us. And I hope that more of you students get interested in this because it's a very, very effective, non-invasive technique that is becoming very, very well known in the world. And we're conducting some interesting research. And the idea is that we start collaborating and doing more of this research together. Anything that has to do with the mind and with the mental health, I think that India has to be involved because you guys were the first ones to really think about that, right, in the past and develop a lot of techniques to do. We're now just using technology, but the traditions started here. So I think that you need to be involved for sure. And he already said a little bit about myself. I'm a naturopathic doctor. In Brazil, when I did this a long time ago, I had to choose either pharmacology and medical medicine, like traditional, or integrative medicine. And then I prefer naturopathic medicine back in the day. And then now it's more integrated in the country, but back in the day it was not. So I did that. And then it's a 4.5 year full-time program. And then you do a 2 acupuncture, traditional Chinese medicine, because they didn't have Ayurvedic medicine back in the day. Now they do at the university, but when I did it, they didn't have it. And then I did I started working, but I got very interested in how do these therapies work. So I went back to the university, got a scholarship, stopped everything, and I was full-time in the neuroscience lab for 2 years for the master's, 4 years for the PhD, and another year for the postdoctorate. And studying neuroscience, I specialized in neurobiology of pain and inflammation, looking at integrative medicine. We started with acupuncture, and then I didn't like needles very much. I started using laser acupuncture, and then from laser acupuncture institute together. But I'm still an associate professor at the universities in Brazil, doing research and helping students that are going through their master's and their PhD. So I'm here actually also representing the program of the post-graduation program of in health sciences and the Department of Naturopathic Medicine, because I'm the director of the Scientific Relationship Naturopathic Brazilian Association. So, you know, this is the place to come for sure. I just wanted to show you a little bit the city where I come from. There, here is very famous city because it's an island, as you can see here, and it has about 40. And that's the head of the lab, Dr. Daniel. He's a physical therapist and PhD in neuroscience, and we started this lab together maybe 15, 18 years ago. So he's still there in the lab. And now university is part of a network of universities in Brazil called AIIMS. And this is a group that has about 400,000 students in Brazil. It's a very big university with a lot of different locations. This is the Integrative Wellbeing Institute in the United States. We're just, starting this year together with Dr. Porter. And this is where the institute is and where I live. I'm neighbors with Mickey and Minnie Mouse. I live in Orlando, Florida, where of course we have Disney World, and we have SeaWorld, and we have Universal Studios, and this is the part of Florida where I live, which is also very nice. And Varun also said that he would like to visit. Anyways, so this is what I'll talk about, a little bit about the definition and the basic principles of brainwave entrainment. The idea is to get you interested in this, is to get you convinced that this is something that I want to look at, that would be interesting. Now talk about some of the research and the therapeutic uses that we have. So what is brainwave entrainment? I think some of you have already seen these pictures over here in the lab. We're using a device that is emitting light and has specific sounds that are connected to an app that is giving you the entrainment. It's actually, the definition would be the use of external stimuli that could be audio, could be music, could be tones, could be anything like that. Sounds, so lights, different lights, and also vibration. You can also do entrainment through vibration. And to guide, that's the interesting part. Those are going to be used to guide your brain gently, non-invasively, so that it can experience different states of consciousness. Because those different states are associated with the brainwaves, right? States, focus, attention, and for the more like that person because of the pattern of speech. So it's very well known in photoaudiology that your brain entrains to those external stimuli. You don't even have to do anything. It just happens. It's automatic. And how about the word entrainment? What does that really mean? Entrainment comes from physics. And here's an example. It's simply when something is vibrating at a frequency or a specific movement, and then something else that is close to it. In this case, this information is being transmitted by the sound waves. So you say that this tuning fork is entraining the other one. What we're doing is using lights and sounds, and you can use vibration as well, to entrain your brainwaves, to make the brainwaves follow that specific stimuli. And it's going to, because of the frequency response that it does. This is an example that is showing a population of neurons that are firing at a specific uncoordinated rhythm. And then you see that when you start entraining it, then they start to fire together according to that rhythm. And then after you remove this information, then it continues for a little while and then goes back a period of time, like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, then the effects last longer, right? And then the brain isn't trained to that for a longer period of time. Here is an example, for instance, of a study that was using audio brainwave entrainment through what is called binaural beats. I'll tell you a little bit more about that, to try and entrain the brain to 6 hertz, which is theta. And then you can see here, when you start at the baseline, you have less theta here, right? And that's less red. And then it starts to increase significantly. much more than this. And then post-stimulus, takes a little while, but still have, then goes back to the same rhythm. But during this theta stage, you have all those physiological responses that happen when your brain is also in theta. And that's the idea behind it.
Mhm.
What are the main types of stimuli? We already said, but I just wanted to give you a technical difference, because the sound or auditory stimulation, you can have variations. There are different techniques. One of them that is very well known when you look at online and you look at YouTube and everything else, you're going to hear about binaural beats, because it's two different sounds. One sound is here at a specific frequency, the other one is the other side, and then you see that there is a difference of 10 hertz. Your brain does not understand this, so 440 here and 430 doesn't know what's happening. So it creates a third one that's the difference between the two inside of your brain, and it gets entrained to 10 hertz, which happens to be alpha. So alpha brainwave entrainment through binaural beats. This is how you do it. It doesn't have to be that specific carry signal. It could be another one. So this is another type that's called isochronic tones, and that comes from the word iso, which is the same, and chronic time, so same time frequency, right? Like this. Some time frequency. If it is, the vibration is in theta, then your brain is entrained to theta, and so on and so forth. So this is very used in meditation practice, right? That type of tone. And then there's also visual brainwave entrainment, that here we're doing it with the headset, but this type of meditation is also a type of visual brainwave entrainment. That's how it started. People focusing on the light, and then the brain starts to entrain to it. It is said that it is about 10 hertz as well, so that's alpha, right? So when you look at it, you already know everything about brainwave entrainment. In fact, brainwave entrainment started in India a long time ago, right? Because you're already using these. So you're doing brainwave entrainment. It's just, it had a different name, but that's what it was. So I can stop my talk right now, because you already know the benefits. You know the benefits of these. So you know you understand the benefits of that. You're using that now, you're just using technique, because sometimes to achieve those stages over here requires a lot of practice. Time, you have to dedicate yourself, which of course, that's where the rewards come from as well. But the other one is very simple. So in this paper here, I thought it was pretty interesting the way that they defined it. Brainwave entrainment provides an almost instantaneous. I showed you a paper there showing that it happens in a second, very fast, and increase the power of the stimulated brainwave, and it can be achieved with minimum effort. So I think that's what people in the United States and other countries that is not India like. They don't have to do much work. They have those benefits of entraining your brain using technology. All you have to do is sit down, put on the headset, press play, and then you have your session. And the benefits are the similar benefits that you have. Of course, not talking about all the spiritual ones and everything else, but the physiological aspect, you can still see. But why would you want to entrain the brain anyways? Why is it interesting? Why? Well, because first of all, I'm not going to go into what brainwave entrainments, what brainwaves are, because you already know, right? This group here knows what it is, but those are specific rhythmic, repetitive patterns of neuron activity in your brain, and they are all associated with different stages. And then you look here, like beta. This is more like what we are right now: awake, normal alertness, except for that person that is sleeping, and that. No, just kidding. That person is in theta. Anyways, so awake. And then you start the meditation, you start to relax, and you go more into alpha. It's not that the whole brain goes into alpha. That's going to be the dominant pattern, right? Different areas are going to do different things for a certain specific reason. And then it decreases even more. It's theta, light sleep. You start to feel drowsiness and everything else. And then, deep sleep, which is very, very, very important. Like Yogananda says, that you don't have to sleep more than 2 hours a day, but because he goes into deep sleep during the meditative stages, that's why he doesn't need it. I can't do that with that without that expertise that he has. Well, maybe one day we can get there if we keep practicing. But if you don't go into delta, I'm gonna tell you an interesting story later on. So, anyways, so why would you want to do that? Because when you entrain, when you target a specific brainwave and you increase that in your brain, you can have those states, those benefits. So let's say that I want to do a meditation practice. Before my meditation, I sit down and I do an alpha session. Then my brain starts to get ready. You know, it really decreases beta. I do that like for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, where I do some pranayamas, because then you set your mind and your body to it. And then when I start the meditation, my brain is already halfway there. You know what I mean? So it helps with my meditation practice. Also, if I want to relax, I mean, I live in the United States for 14 years now, so I act a lot like an American. And the Americans are very stressed all the time. They want to do everything all at once. It's workaholic. You know, work, 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 work. You have to relax at least once a day. Sit down and do it. You know, brainwave entrainment helps you do that very fast. But if you want then to go to bed, let's say that you have problems sleeping, then you can do a theta session before you go to bed. It preps your brain to go there. If you go all the way to delta session, it lasts longer, but probably like 99% of the people fall asleep right there during the session. So you can use all this, but how about cognitive activity? Enhancing your activity in your brain and everything else, you could do gamma sessions. I'll show you something pretty interesting about what they have discovered on the use of gamma entrainment in a later slide. So not only that, to activate those specific stages, but you can also think that some of the problems that we have in terms of mental health that is growing exponentially everywhere, it was already out there, and then COVID hit, and then it really highlighted this. So now you see that, I guess, all the people from all the countries are a little bit stressed, and then it's going to evolve into something worse if we don't take care of it. And so if you have high continuous stress levels, that's going to keep your brain in high beta, and then you don't relax. You don't have, your creativity is hindered. Your imagination is bad. You don't relax. You don't sleep very well. You know, excessive high beta activity, all these things, irritability, insomnia, anxiety. You know, of course, medical students, they don't know what that is, right? No stress. That's the worst, I think. Excessive frontal alpha activity is associated with ADD and depression. And if you have gamma deficiency, you have learning difficulties. It's difficult to process information. And lack of theta and delta, of course, poor quality of sleep. So it's not only to help your brain do what it supposed to be doing anyways, to help it, right? But also to treat certain things as an uninvasive way. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example of stress and brain waves. You know, the impact of different sounds and stress levels. You can see that stress is characterized, among other things, to a decreased alpha frequency in your brain. If you have stress, you have less. Then you do an alpha training, then you're going to increase that, and you're going to feel better, right? That's the monkey mind, right? That doesn't stop. When you close your eyes, you should increase alpha automatically. Your brain activity should decrease, and you should have more alpha. That doesn't happen with everybody because of stress, continuous stress, right? So in this case, you do an alpha session, and that's going to increase your alpha naturally. So this is what it's doing, is helping your brain do what it's supposed to be doing anyways, right? This is a Seminole State College out in Florida, very close to my house, about like 40 minutes, 50 minutes. Yes, 40 minutes in the United States is very close. Here in India, it could be far, but in the US, everywhere is far when you go. People are used to driving that far. So this is the brainwave center that we have there. We developed this brainwave center with the college, and these are the golf team. The golf team is very good. They are very dedicated. The women's golf team, they are winning every year since 2019 when we started working together. Isn't that interesting? And then the coach says, you know what's happening? Golf, the game lasts 4 hours. You're actually playing for 10 minutes. All the rest of the time, you're just walking around. And when those 10 minutes, you really have to be relaxed, but very focused at the same time. So we do those sessions with them. Then we were in a study. We finished the study, and then we saw, look at the huge jump that they had in alpha, right? So we asked them to sit down and close their eyes and relax. Then we do an EEG scan, and then here's the baseline. And then we do 3 sessions a week on brainwave entrainment. After, I think this was after 3 months, 3 months, I think. They came back and we asked them to do the same thing. Then you see that their mind was able to go relax beta, and really increase alpha. And we also saw that the scores related to stress, perceived stress scale, they were above 15, which is called moderate stress. Now they are below, they are like around 13, which is low stress. Very interesting.
This beta power and alpha power, how it is calculated?
How it is calculated? This one here?
No, this.
Oh, these are the, oh, this is the EEG that you look at the power in the different areas and then you calculate it.
Electrode on the scalp.
Yes, yes, yeah, like this. So the study stopped, finished, and then they didn't have to come anymore. Then we told the players, we're done with the study. And they said, no, we want to continue. And they continued coming. And then we created the center. Now we have, I think we have like 6, 8 chairs. And now we also have there another location in the nursing department. We also have the brainwave entrainment. We're already on semester number 3, doing the studies with the nurses now. It's increasing because they're seeing the benefits. And they even have it in the inside of this the disability support services when the students come in and they have, you know, anxiety, stress, still winning. So from a historic context, I already told you it started in India, right? That's how it started. But from, you know, the science in the terms of what brainwave entrainment is, I'll just give you brief. This is not something new. It started there in the 90s, you know, when they were doing entrainment by light, looking at reduction in psychological strain, when they were looking at the flickering lights. So that started some long time ago. In down like in the 1949 in the in the UK, they looked at the brain activities changing in hundreds of patients, and then again because of photic stimulation or light entrainment. And changing. And that was interesting because back in the day they said this is going to happen only on the visual cortex, right? No, they noticed this in all of the brain. And this was pretty interesting. You're doing an entrainment through light, well, visual cortex, you know, whole brain. And it was first identified there. And then only in 1839 is when they started using this term binaural beats, and it was discovered. And then from there on, a lot of studies, a lot of new things. This is the first device that was invented, that was created, that was commercial. It's called the brain wave synchronizer, which is a pretty interesting name, right? And they are using this for reducing pain in patients with dental procedures. We actually doing a study at the university in Brazil with patients with fibromyalgia and looking at, and we see an increase in modulation. And we also we're drawing blood and we're looking at inflammatory markers like NF-alpha, interleukin beta, and we're looking as well in this study. We're now, I think we have maybe 70 people, but we're continuing. So that's maybe an interesting thing for us to work together. And as a matter of, and this is another device, a lot more modern than the brainwave synchronizer. That's the one that we are working together here with the university. We already have 12 pilot trials that were conducted. The idea was for us to make sure that this works, we need to repeat it in smaller samples first in different populations, and then see if we have the same results. You know, they repeat. That's, you know, a major thing, and have to make sure that what you're getting repeats, right? Otherwise, it's just something that happened by chance. So it did in the 12 different trials. We have already some of the trials we presented. We have papers coming out. We're working together on additional things. So the research is ongoing. And this, of course, is Dr. Porta, that he was already here. Very good friend, dear friend, that he was the one that introduced me to brainwave entrainment. So, and here I am. Thanks, Porta, for sending me to India. And I'm actually here also because I'm going to be speaking at an annual conference of clinical psychology in NIMS in Bangalore on Friday. Yes. But then I was going to come to India, and then I said, you know, I have to go see Varun, and I have to go see the doctor first, and then spend some time here and have the good food that you have. So what does the science, so that's when it started. How does the scientific literature, what does it say about brainwave entrainment? Is there a lot of research already? So this was a review that we published. This was a PhD student at the lab, in the Department of Neuroscience he's doing his PhD. So we worked together, and then we looked at a lot of different audiovisual brain entrainment terms, and we did a search in, I think it was like 5, 6 different databases, and a lot of papers came out. And at the end, we only had about like 73 that we excluded some of them because of language and different things. We only had the abstract. We came out with 57 publications. This was in 2019. And the results were a lot of papers talking about improved sleep, anxiety, and stress reduction, increased analgesia, and then we're seeing that in the study with fibromyalgia, psychomotor performance, increasing cognition, increasing working memory, decreasing mental fatigue, and increasing parasympathetic activation. Very substantial, very interesting. And by looking at that, you already know what is the brain wave that they were training. Pretty obvious, right? For each one of those specific ones. And so that was interesting. I already thought it was not a lot. It was like 50, 60 papers, but still, it's already something. And then we decided to redo this now, this year. So we only looked at the publications from 2019 to 2023, and we found another 56. Isn't that interesting? From AIIMS, 57. In the past few years, the same number. That tells me that the scientific community is really getting interested in this now. So this is the time that we should start writing about it so that we can, claim that we're working on something that is on the edge. Like just about a few weeks ago, I'm a reviewer for maybe 10 different scientific journals. And one of the journals, Frontiers in Neuroscience, sent me a paper to evaluate that was about the use of brainwave entrainment to control and to reduce tremors in patients with Parkinson's. Very significant results by just simple entrainment. So this is picking up. That was from a very renowned university in Germany, and the paper was very well written, and I said yes. And these are the things that we saw in this last review: mental health, increased anxiety, stress, pain management, quality of sleep, cognition, attention, improved long-term, Parkinson's. Very interesting. ADHDs. And I already told you the story about the golf players, right? It's all in the mind, the performance. I'll give you an example that is pretty interesting, and that involves gamma stimulation. So this was conducted at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, which is probably the most prestigious university in the world. At least it's ranked like that in the lists. And this is Dr. Li Wei-Tsai. Very nice person. Patrick and I had the opportunity of going there, talking to her, seeing what they were doing. So she was looking at animal models of Alzheimer's. And so in this model, you use that amyloid plaque and deposit it in the brain. And then, you see the deficit in the animals. That you can put, I know if you're familiar with models of memory and functional memory and performance, in animals, but there is one, for instance, that is an object recognition model. When you put something new to them, they keep looking at it, and then they take some time to investigate. Next time you put it in their cage, they're not as interested because they already know that. But if they have the deposition of amyloid plaque in the brain, then they investigate about the same time. They kind of forget about it. There is a water maze that looks like a pool that has a platform just below the level of water. So you put them in there, and then they swim, they find the platform, they stay there. Next time you put them there, they go straight to the platform. In the models of Alzheimer's, they keep swimming. They forget where the platform is. So it's very interesting model. And also you can look at immunohistochemistry, and you can see the deposition of the beta amyloid plaque in the brain. So she was doing a lot of different types of entrainment. Only gamma entrainment was able to clear that and also increase function. During deep meditation stages, you have like those gamma peaks, right? And then we look at the brains when functional MRI of people that meditate for a long time, they look much younger than anybody else's brains. Why? They're stimulating gamma. They're doing brainwave entrainment, right? That's it. Pretty simple. Not only that, the research now is showing enhanced synaptic function, enhanced motility, reduced inflammation, neuroinflammation, increase in number, astrocytes, like physically, increase the vessel diameter, velocity, blood flow, and the vasculature in your brain because you're stimulating your brain with gamma. So either meditate very deeply and reach gamma stages, or you can do some gamma brainwave entrainment, maybe a little faster. I would recommend both. But, we're at the place of the birth of integrative medicine. It's here. So I'm not talking about treating a disease. We should talk about preventing, right? Diseases, a preventative approach. That's why I did naturopathic medicine. That's why I like it, And I think one of the most important ones for brain health is sleep. Quality of sleep is essential. That's why Yogananda was saying, right? Oh, you can sleep for 2 hours, but you have to be in deep delta sleep, right? If you can't, then you have during the night, people are sleeping with the device. And then every time that you present the theta or the delta, in this case it was delta stimulation, you see an increase in deep sleep. Very interesting throughout the night. This is not very common, right? Because in the stages of sleep, this happens only in the beginning of the night. But here's the first study that I got involved with brainwave entrainment with Patrick. He introduced me to the headset. I took it to the university, and then we looked at baseline. And 3 weeks later, the students are doing like 3 sessions a week, and which is not a lot. You should do that every day. You should meditate every day. You should do brainwave entrainment every day. And the results that we got, see, statistically significant drop. And this was conducted at the university lab, and it was published at Global Advances in Health and Medicine. I'm just showing one graph. There is a lot more to it, but I don't want to, tire you. This is another study that we're doing with patients with nutritional intervention, which is very important. So these patients go to the hospital. They're diagnosed with the clinical depression, and then they come back to the naturopathic clinic where we're doing the brainwave entrainment. And we're looking at, one group is doing just the nutritional intervention, and the other one is doing the nutritional plus brainwave entrainment. So this was already approved to be presented in Barcelona this year, September. And now the student is moving on to Harvard University. So we're doing a collaboration between our university, UNISU, and the lab where she's a part of, and Harvard University to continue the study. So it's a very, very prestigious university internationally that is working together with us in brainwave entrainment. Needless to say, a lot more people are going to hear about brainwave entrainment. So I think it's an interesting one. This is pretty interesting to me because I 100% expected that nutrition was going to be effective, right? If you modulate what you eat, then you're going to have the proper basis for your neurotransmitters, and then you're going to have less of that problem. And as you can see here, over the course of it shouldn't be placebo, it should say nutrition is increasing. But if you do the brainwave entrainment, you have a better result. That's pretty interesting. So in this case is used at naturopathic clinics or at the hospital. But why am I talking about quality of sleep when I'm talking about prevention of brain problems? This is the person, and she's from Denmark. She's a doctor. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but she discovered the lymphatic system in your brain, not a few years ago. And so she was asked in this interview, which is pretty interesting. It's in the NIH News and Health, which is National Institutes of Health in the U.S. They're interviewing her, and then they asked, why does the brain sleep? Because it's tired? And then she said, no, that's wrong. Actually, when you're sleeping, the brain is very hard at work. It's things. That would be like a whole nother talk for hours, because very, very interesting research. But this is the most interesting part. It becomes like a kidney. It's removing waste from the system, and the toxins that then accumulate in your brain and lead to bad amyloid plaque formation and lead to cognitive impairment, early onset dementia, and then Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and everything else. So I'm sorry to say, the longer you live, the less deep sleep you have, the worse this gets activated, because it only gets activated during the deep sleep. It involves all systems of your brain, and it removes toxins, proteins, and metabolites that from the brain, as well as replenishes nutrition and energy. If you don't go into deep sleep, this doesn't get activated, this doesn't happen. And then you can, sorry to say, everybody here, don't watch, your sleep. You don't do gamma entrainment, or you don't do deep meditation that leads you to gamma entrainment. you're going to have cognitive impairment, you're going to have early onset dementia, and everybody's heading that way because we're living longer, right? And as you live longer, your deep sleep decreases. Here, young, a lot of deep sleep at the beginning of the night. As you live longer, it starts to decrease, and then you have lower lymphatic flow. And lower lymphatic flow means accumulation of those proteins in your brain, and then leads to all this neurodegeneration and everything else. So we really need to take care of that. We really need to pay attention to it because look at the numbers. It's increasing exponentially everywhere. And then here you see deposition of that amyloid plaque, Alzheimer's tau protein, Parkinson's, you know, as long as the lymphatic system is not working well, you have all these problems. The aggregates increase, leads to neurodegeneration and dementia. Easy way to deal with it: meditation, increase gamma, brainwave entrainment, gamma brainwave. So that's pretty much what I wanted to tell you in terms of what's out there, and think about the prevention. What are the future directions in research, not overall in brainwave entrainment, but for our group? This is what we want to do. We're going to continue the research in Brazil and in the US. We're going to start focusing more on mental health and prevention. That's why I talked about those things. So you can think about quality of sleep is a big one. That's one that we're very interested in. With sleep labs, we're doing a lot of actigraphy, looking at the sleep stages, phases during the sleep. And I mean, that's some very important and interesting research. And we're also looking to expand our scientific relationships over here, you know, with you in the integrated well-being in the United States and the labs in Brazil. We're actually already working together, you know, with Dr. Varun here. I think this picture is a little old, right? Or maybe he did something to the hair before the picture. I don't know. But anyway, so we've been working for some time together now. And we actually have some preliminary results looking at heart rate variability, you know, the increase in SDNN, increase in RMS-SD, which is a marker of parasympathetic. We're also looking at, this is not a direct EEG, but this is the frequency spectrum that derives from the heart rate variability, which is pretty interesting. And it's looking at, see, increase in gamma over here, increase in alpha. And this actually, you can read about this pretty soon because it was already approved to be published at the the journal, one of the prestigious journals of integrative medicine in Brazil. And I'm going to be sure that we put something in English and in Portuguese. Maybe we can write it in Hindi as well. You know? No?
Yeah, we can.
We could try. Yeah, I'm trying to make the so much time. I'll try to learn. It's a beautiful language. My last remarks, very easy to use, brainwave entrainment. Very low cost, right? You can use it in the audio. If you don't have the headset, do audio brainwave entrainment. Home use, you can use it at home. This is very important. A lot of people realize that during COVID, the people that really felt really bad were the ones that were, it's self-directed. You can adjust it. You can choose what you want to do. Very rare side effects from all the thousands of people that did brain tap. I think we had one case of a person that had an activation. It was an epileptic patient. And then the next session, we just decreased something that you can modulate and has very potential wide-ranging benefits. Enhanced focus, concentration. It's good for studies, for relaxation, reducing stress, you know, and so on and so forth. And very important, increasing delta, deep delta sleep that prevents your brain. That's my contact there if you have any additional questions. And thank you very much.
Cidral, he only learned, and he says he's brought the best to the East and West here. His spirituality and the West technology. Let your secret on you. Secret is that the only line he knows in Hindi is "मैं थोड़ा थोड़ा हिंदी जानता."
आप कैसे हैं?
आप कैसे हैं? He also knows ठीक है. You know,
How about cello?
my spiritual brother, he knows about 6 languages, and the person with the highest IQ has been measured knows 5. So you can put a big hand together for him. He says, "Dhanyavad." Dr. Porter was here and he was online, but Cidral flew all the way for all of us. And I think you should appreciate that. He's been flying, but despite the tiring schedule, the jet lag, he's there with you all. So please put your hands again together for him. I think we have Dr. Ruchi here, and she's doing a project on fibromyalgia. Her group is also here. And sir has just we'll be talking to the director about this, the MOU and all, and what we can collaborate on. Fibromyalgia is one, sleep is another, the sleep lab. In the Gita, it says Yuktahar. Yuktahar means slight amount of eating. Vihar means recreation. Yuktahar, Vihar, say Yukta Chestasya Karma, so right amount of work. Karma means, chest means effort. And you must have the right amount of even relaxation. So I myself have taken the brain tap and the brain entrainment, and I'll definitely be taking that advice of having some of them before the meditation sessions. How many of you sleep well at night? How many of you can sleep? I'm not asking the yogi to kind of raise his hand. What about 8 hours of non-stop sleep from say 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the morning, or 10 o'clock to nobody? You guys go to stay. I hear the yas and do's. That means many of you stay awake late night. So and how many of you, I was trying this brain trap on my kid because he has his attention difficulty. He has his mind wandering off. And they have these great fun programs in the brain trap. They make you visualize things. And for kids, it's awesome for improving your grades, for having your concentration up, to have your focus. In fact, if you all remember the patient who came here, the quadriparesis patient, do you remember him? We went back and we did the brain taps on Saturday after he addressed the students. He had an accident. And he did a theta, and to reduce his pain, he slept off during the session. So he was like absolutely like he got this deep sleep for about half an hour while he was doing the session. Our records show that we have it on record. So looking on such further collaboration, I have the opportunity to do the felicitation and the thank you note of gratitude. First, before that, any questions you have on this? India has this thing of writing diyas with 8 hertz alpha rhythm, but you have the brain entrainment. Any questions? We also have Dr. Pathak from CFM with us, at whose place we had gone to meditation.
Oh, yes.
You can put your hands together for him too. We also have from Ayush, the yoga faculty, who we plan to kind of coordinate and collaborate with the Naturopathy Center in Brazil.
I would just like to add that at least 6 rags are there in our music system identified to reduce the sympathetic activities. So if you become volunteer, definitely next time we can try at our home.
Perfect. We are aware of the Tansen who sang the Bhairavi Raga during the day, and he brought about, the night. So there are 6 ragas. It's there in the autobiography also. You can read about it. We are planning some music research too. So let me have the honor to felicitate you. I request my entire departmental team to be here, and we have a felicitation lined up for you. So there are these 2 books that sir wanted to actually buy. He read the autobiography of Yogi. So we wanted to kind of felicitate him. So I request our head of department, Dr. Santosh Bakade. Santosh, sir was telling me, is not Santosham and as to satisfaction. Santos in Brazil means it's a saint. So we'll request our saint, the head of our department, to come up, please. Photograph.
One question. Many times we have some paper, some queries came regarding, you said that we are having the spectral analysis of the EEG. And what you recorded in individual slides was the EEG recorded from the staff. So how there is correlation between these two?
So that well, we have thousands of nerves in the heart, right? And a lot in our gut as well. That's where most of the serotonin, for instance, is produced. And these three are aligned. In the Ayurvedic traditions, this is very clear that the brain and the gut and the heart are aligned. We have the chakras, we have those relationships there, and so there is a big thing about coherence between those different ones, and those specific rhythms can also be derived from mathematical assertions that you look at your differences in between the heartbeats. So that's how we're trying to calculate that. And the healthier you are, you have coherence between your gut, your heart, and your brain.
So it's coherence.
Yes.
Not it's correlation.
Yes. Correct.
So respected Cidral, our distinguished faculty of the Department of Physiology, AIIMS, CFM, my dear students, on behalf of Department of Physiology, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to you in brainwave entrainment, harmonizing the mind, which has made it a resounding success with the kind of audience that all of you have come up to. To conclude this event, we reflect upon the invaluable knowledge shared and the connections made during this enlightening session and the probable memorandum of understandings and the collaborations that we might have. First and foremost, I must also like to express my sincere appreciation to Dr. Sunil Malik, our Honorable President of AIIMS Bhopal, Professor Dr. Ajay Singh, our dynamic, beloved Executive Director of AIIMS Bhopal, for their patronship and unwavering support in organizing and giving permissions for this CME and talk, that we could get somebody from USA down here and bring the best of East and West together. Their guidance and encouragement has been instrumental in bringing together experts, and we hope to have that support also in the future. And the scientific evidence of therapies like used in Ayush as well as in yoga and meditation, and comparing it with the new technologies of the West is something that we have to look forward in the future. I would also extend my gratitude to Dean Academics, Dr. Rajesh Malin in charge, Dr. Shashank Parwar, DDA, Sir Colonel Ajay Singh, Associate Dean Academics, Dr. Ashwini Tandon, and our Head of Department, Dr. Santosh Vakade, for his invaluable contributions and continuous support in making this talk and CME a reality. I'm not going to officially thank Cidral, but we have something to thank about after our lecture is over, so I'm going to keep that for later.
Okay.
But I would like to thank our department convener, Dr. Rekha, our core organizer, Dr. Sunil, our department faculty from the busy schedule who were able to come here, Dr. Ruchi, Dr. Rajay, Dr. Avinash. We would also like to thank the people who are behind the scenes, Hemant, Shafiq, Shubham. Please put your hands together. Without them, I mean, this would not be possible. And people who are behind the scenes, I would not like to name all of them. So thank you so much for your help. And I would like to acknowledge the IT department, Kanu. This has gone YouTube live. And just sitting here in the morning attending the CMET MBBS course, only on the phone calls and on WhatsApp, I was just communicating, and all the work was being done because I have such a wonderful support system and the team. So please put your hands together again. Thank you. My heartfelt thanks. It will not be possible. Least but not least, we expect the gratitude to the PR cell. Dr. Danish Javed is here, and without his presence, this coverage, which is going to go, I think,